Throughout the next 150 minutes, we will bring you in-depth coverage of today's historic developments. And you know what we're talking about, the governor resigning. It all started at 12:05 this afternoon when Governor Andrew Cuomo said he was stepping aside. He again denied the findings in the Attorney General's report, but said if he continued to fight against it, it would detract from the important business of government. My colleague Sabrina Dami is outside the governor's mansion. She's going to begin our coverage on, again, this extremely historic day. Sabrina.
Jerry, what a shocking day it has been. I was listening live to the governor's announcement at 12:05 when he made the announcement that he's resigning. He made the announcement in New York City, and then he took his helicopter back here to Albany. And we presume he is here at the governor's mansion right behind me. My colleague Mark Mulholland is here with us. And Mark, we've been following these developments all day today.
Sabrina, yes, we assume that the 56th governor of New York is here at the governor's mansion this afternoon after he made that announcement in New York City that he is resigning effective 14 days from today. Now, he came back to Albany by helicopter at around 1:30 today. His three daughters with him as they got off the chopper at the State Thruway Authority helipad. During his approximately 20-minute speech, Andrew Cuomo remained defiant, saying he never crossed the line with his 11 accusers, but all of the allegations put him in a place where he could no longer effectively govern.
Well, today's historic turn of events took nearly everyone at the Capitol by surprise. Dan Levy's been gathering reaction. He continues our team coverage. And Dan, I think most people thought the governor was going to fight to the bitter end.
Absolutely, Jerry, you're right. You know, I think even though the vast majority of elected officials, not just here at the Capitol, but all across New York State, both Democrats and Republicans, had long ago suggested the governor should resign, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone here today who wasn't absolutely stunned and almost bewildered to see the governor toss in the towel today without putting up much of a fight.
I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our News Channel 13 special report, the Cuomo resignation. I'm Sabrina Dami.
And I'm Mark Mulholland outside the governor's mansion on Eagle Street in Albany. What a day it has been. Not anyone saw this coming. Anyone who follows these things closely could not predict this.
No, the governor today, right around noontime, started his speech, and quickly it took a turn. About 10 minutes in, announced he's resigning from office.
Over the next half hour, our team will have live coverage of every angle of the governor's resignation. We will check in with Jonathan Hunter and Dan Levy, who are standing by live in just a few minutes.
It's because of that news conference that many people believed that Governor Cuomo was going to continue to try to fight it out and not resign today. His attorney blasted the Attorney General's report as well as media coverage of the allegations. She went on to counter those allegations point by point. But the overall message was that the Attorney General's report and investigators simply left out key facts when they did not fit the narrative they wanted.
That may lead you to believe that the resignation today ends the impeachment process, but that's not the case. We're joined live now by Skidmore College political science professor Dr. Ron Seib. Ron, this was very much a 20-minute speech today, was very much a speech of his legacy, was it not? Was this an effort by the governor to preserve his legacy?
I think so. I think looking at past resignation speeches, particularly President Nixon's speech, in that speech as well, it's always sort of the idea of don't forget what we've accomplished in my time as governor, particularly the SAFE Act, and ironically enough, legislation to sort of help victims of sexual assault, and obviously the combating of COVID.
We made note of the language that the governor used and the tone, how it quickly changed. He seemed contrite at times, but not admitting to anything, and there were some gray areas there.
Absolutely. I think that he said at one point that he takes responsibility for what he did to the 11 women. On the other hand, he also said that many times it was a misunderstanding, that it was a misunderstanding particularly of his sense of humor, that while he apologizes for giving them offense, he still doesn't think he touched any of them inappropriately. My suspicion, it's not based on any kind of legal expertise, is that he's worried about a criminal proceeding in which anything he says about it could be construed as an admission of guilt might actually come to fruit in that sort of thing. Yeah.
We've heard from several people during our newscast and during this report today who still support the governor.
Yeah.
Regular people on the street in Albany and elsewhere.
He shifted his tone, and everyone could sense that something big is about to happen.
From denying and defiance to resignation.
There we go. And now the next steps, and we will wait to find out what happens with the impeachment process from the Assembly Judiciary Committee and the criminal complaints against him as well.
And we'll be following that as that continues. And as we've heard throughout this newscast, that it will be continuing.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us for this News Channel 13 special report as we report live from outside the governor's mansion.
And of course, you can follow all of the latest developments on our website, WNYT.com. It includes the governor's address, an interactive timeline on the investigation, and all of our team coverage from today.
Thank you very much for joining us. Have a nice evening.
Good night.